which they sing for, which is the devil, really. And then you should just know right off the bat that, whoa, you should know right off the bat that all of this illusion that the UN is against Israel and Trump is against globalism, all of that is scripted nonsense. This is how you get the poison to go down. You lie about it. You create a false narrative. You report that to the peoples, and then the people exist in that lie. Well, really, behind the scenes, you work together with those entities to bring about this beast system, this beast kingdom, what our Bible, that is pure, raw intelligence, tells us will happen. And so I always do this thing where I take what the world tells me and I throw it against the wall, so to speak, go over there. And then I take what the Bible tells me is happening and I elevate that to its proper status of truth. That's how I reckon reality. And so here is yet another Marxist thought control, speech control, punishment oriented behavior change, forcing that behavior change by essentially, you could call it taxation if you wanted to. This is how the liberals operate. And I won't say it's just liberals, because you absolutely have the Republicans who just sit there and stare at you, drooling, while the liberals take over and put through these ridiculous processes. And you just sit there going, aren't you going to do something? And yet they don't. That concerns me. So there really is this usurping of control. There really is this connection between the information that was given, that we've done videos on before. In fact, I was just looking over this video again that I did before, because there's so much going on in it that I actually relearned, quite frankly, from the sea of information. And I was reminded in this video, listening to Gutierrez, who is the UN secretary, that their international policies and communications with one another, he specifically says in here, are going to be under this UN oversight, or however exactly he phrases it. It's all going to go together. So if you're going to have communication from one nation to another, it's going to go through and by the rules and statutes and international law to dictate those relationships. And he even, well, two thoughts. Another thing that he said here that I found interesting, little side note that you want to write down and pin in your brain, is that he talked about how financial businesses and those type of relationships would be brought into all this because it's an implement of control, right? When you can't get a job because you don't agree to what they have put forth, that is an instrument of targeted change by affecting your ability to make money, thereby making you vulnerable to accepting the policies of whatever it is that they want to do. And that's very, very dangerous when you have all of these people who are signing on and going, well, yes, we will work with the UN to craft what is acceptable language wise, what we affirm, and much more. And I was even listening to, let's see here. I got a whole big 5 minutes into this video that I was just thinking about this guy's work and just talking about it the other day too. Mike, and he was talking about a video. Just a little side note thing here. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? I was just thinking about this video and talking about it the other day. It's right here. He was explaining in this video called Prophecy Fulfillment, Revelation 18 is happening. And it was a couple years back in December. So he was explaining to you that what was happening in this video. So remember, this was 2016. Gutierrez was just talking in New York City in 2019, just this month, just a few days ago. They're talking about the same thing. This was the CEOs, okay, of the American companies coming into union with the Pope, who I think you could make a good case as the false prophet. So something that they were talking about several years ago and then made it into the 2019 UN speech, the opening of the 74th session, blah blah blah, of the General Assembly in New York, saying how we're going to redefine things underneath the umbrella of this globalism, and we're going to usurp control in an international law fashion, which just grabs the US and pulls her in, right? And ignore the subterfuge with Trump going, no, we're not going. Just ignore that. It's all false fluff, okay? So if you're tracking with me, now you connected in with what Dave just said about language control. Whether that actually results in jail or just a fine, we're still trying to find that out. But Dave just said that the city council then in New York was saying that there were certain words that were illegal. So this again is you're seeing the implementation of international law coming into your country. So are you tying all this together? This is a problem. What they've been planning, in other words, is taking place, and there's no fight between these entities. That's all fluff. That's garbage. What the Bible told you is happening is what's actually happening with this beast growing, this kingdom beast growing, this punishing you to achieve the goal. So New York City to fine people $250,000 for using banned words. Adios, Constitution of the United States, and it was brand spanking fresh new. You should have people up in arms freaking out over this. New York City has put a ban on words it doesn't like. They've made it illegal to threaten someone with a call to immigration authorities or to refer to them as a legal alien. Why would that be illegal, except that it goes along with the Pope's demand, who, by the way, is from a communist nation. I want to say Argentina. Am I right on that? A communist country that he grew up in that is very against the policies of freedom that our nation has, at least in theory, stood on and held for a while. But now that's all being crumbled down, stomped on, and puked on. Okay. And why we have the UN coming to our country is huge. You cannot tell me that United States and Trump are so anti-globalism and yet host the UN summit. I mean, come on. And if I sound angry, well, I'm real passionate for the truth. But do you see how logic just gets stomped to death? And there will be people who will say, no, look, you don't understand. That Trump is the one that is fighting for us while we're hosting the United Nations. And this is fighting for us? This is anti-globalization? No. Do you see that the goal they want is being pushed through? They just have little puppet boy, little orange Cheeto liar actor who says muckety muck on the TV to you, oh, we're not for globalism, blah, 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 even though I'm best friends with Kissinger, who's a globalist and a Jew in unbelief, nonetheless. You're being lied to. You should be upset about that. And if you're not upset, you should at least abandon the notion that our government is somehow against globalism, especially when I'm showing you how it's being pushed forward in. Do you understand? I hope you understand. Okay, so let's keep going with this article here. I just don't like being lied to. You read that right, but it gets worse. The violations are punishable fines up to what your house probably costs, $250,000 per offense. Now, okay, so, well, let's just keep going with the article. Hold on. The restrictions were explained in a 29-page directive released by the City Hall's Commission on Human Rights. Here's a bit of the verbiage. Alien, used in so many laws to refer to a non-citizen person, is a term that may carry negative connotations and dehumanize immigrants, marking them as other. Other? Are you kidding me? You evil brute. How could you mark someone as other? That's actually not a thing. Marking someone as other is not a thing to be upset about. Do you see how you're being manipulated? But they're going to make bank by abusing actual citizens. They don't care about you. They just want to melt you down and make you fit. And it won't just be this. Oh no, there'll be a whole host of things that you either cop to or else. Because that's how Satan works. That's how his people work. Whether you're talking the lefties or the righties, the red ones or the blue ones, it don't matter, right? It don't matter. I'm going to use bad grammar. It don't matter. Uses certain language, including illegal alien and illegals, with the intent to demean, humiliate, or offend a person or persons constitutes discrimination. Wait a minute. So if you're, okay, people get in fights sometimes, right? It's not the best thing. It's not the nicest thing. But you're telling me that now, if two people get into an interpersonal relationship fight, that interpersonal relationship now carries the same stature or statute or however you want to phrase that as if it was an actual like business type of discrimination. You see what I'm saying? This is now leaked from the business world over to your world. So you could call the police and say, my girlfriend just said that I was an illegal immigrant, and maybe you were. And you are now going to get that person a $250,000 fine. Take note that in that general UN summit, when True News did like almost a 3-hour long show, I hyper isolated about the 440 mark going into that, looking at what Gutierrez was saying. And what Gutierrez was saying was that he was talking trash about Christians, calling us vicious in French. And I don't speak a lot of French, but there's a few key words you could catch that I put the closed caption on. And he was talking smack about Christians and how we demonize, how we're mean and vicious to immigrants. So see, what's happening in New York is what is already happening with the UN. Okay, it's all together. And then Gutierrez, we have pictures of him at the public website, Noahide.com, snuggling up with the agenda of Rabbi Cohen and the Noahide. Okay, and his sub-laws is what'll get your head cut off. So you have to kind of start seeing all of those things rotating together. It breaks down to several examples of acts or comments that would be considered a violation. This includes harassing people over their accents or grasp of English. It also lists the threat of a call to immigration or customs enforcement as a tool of hate. A hotel prohibits its housekeepers from speaking Spanish while cleaning because it would offend hotel guests or make them uncomfortable. Okay, we've arrived in crazy town. An Indian immigrant family complains to their landlord about mold and cockroaches in their unit, and the landlord, these are examples, tells them to just deal with it and threatens to call ICE if they file a complaint in housing court. A store owner tells two friends who are speaking Thai while shopping in his store to speak English. Oh, or go back to your country. Okay, but so it should, in the employment situation, the employer deal with these things if there is some kind of an issue with this. This is being taken to a whole nother level that exacerbates our laws by pushing in this UN-oriented trap. See what I'm saying? Why the director from the Commission on Human Rights? Because Trump. Oh, so he's behind this?